Hey everybody, welcome to Chorus Girl Quilting, and it's time for what I'm working on Wednesday, and we're in a little different spot this time because we're going to the fair. We're headed out right now. We, meaning the handyman and I, woohoo! We're headed out to the Johnson County Fairgrounds where I'm going to enter the Tilda Soiree quilt. This is drop-off time this evening. Judging will happen tomorrow, which is Tuesday. July 28th at 10 a.m. And then after that, you can go and see all the exhibits, and including the animals and all the fun stuff and the food trucks, fair food, yum yum. And of course, it is the hottest day of the year today. I think the thermometer in the car when I was out running around hit 100 degrees, and the heat index is like 150. That's what it feels like. Anyway, we're headed out there, and we're going to drop off the quilt and get the entry all done. And then we're going to come back to the sewing room and talk about what's still in the works, and the fish, the Jeep, and the hand piecing project that is actually going pretty well. So I'm still avoiding the applique. Don't get me wrong. Still avoiding that. So we'll be back in a little bit where we'll be in the sewing room where it's nice and cool. Okay, we are now in the sewing room where it is much cooler than it was yesterday evening on the way to the fair and walking around just the fairgrounds. We got the quilt dropped off and all entered. We know the judging happened earlier today, but Handyman and I are going to leave out here in a little while to go back to the fairgrounds to check it out and see how the judging went. The first time I entered a quilt in the fair was 2022, and the one behind me I entered two actually, and this one was one of them, and it won a red ribbon. But the other one it's this gigantic king size quilt that I had no intention of entering. And when I picked it up from the quilter, there was a lady there from one of the local quilt guilds, and the owner of the shop and this gal were looking at the quilt when she brought it to me, and uh, the guild lady said, "You should enter that in the fair." So I'm like, well, okay, maybe I will. So I did, and that quilt, which I'll show in a show and tell at a later date, that quilt won grand champion that year, and I was shocked. I had no idea. I was just super surprised. Then 2 summers later, I entered the Woman in Gold quilt, which I had featured in a show and tell a while back, and it won grand champion. So no pressure, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. So I'm not expecting it to. One of the things why I wanted to do it is just to read feedback from a judge. I know what the flaws of the quilt are, and if you watch the series with me, so do you. And I want to see if the judge might point out some of the issues that I think are in the quilt and compare what they say. But you never know. We'll see. And we're looking forward to going in and getting some fair food too, because all the food trucks were not open yet because the fair hadn't officially started. So there's that fair update. It's going to be fun. And current project updates are, I am halfway through the blocks for the Something Fishy quilt. I just finished this guy right here. I think he turned out kind of pretty, but I will tell you, it's really funny. You look at these patterns, for instance, here's the pike sheet. That's what the pattern looks like. And I assumed that was going to be very difficult. We'll see once I make it. But this guy right here turned out to be a lot more involved than I expected. Not hard, just a lot of work. I think it took me about 2.5 hours or so to do at least. And one of the reasons for that is that each of these big sections has a lot of tiny little pieces. And if you look at the paper, like around his eye, you can see this little piece and this little piece and this little piece. And all of several of these sections had some strange, small, tiny pieces. And I save when you trim off, as you're working, you trim off pieces. And I save the little offcuts because like this right here is actually big enough to put in a pattern piece. And I had a little square. I oh, this guy right here. There is, I'm sure, a piece of a fish, one of these fish blocks where that could fit into the background. So it can get pretty tedious and involved. So that's the fish quilt. The Jeep is the pixel quilt is going as expected. I haven't really added a lot to it because I've been working on the fish and getting it all together. And the other thing I have been doing is working on it's called the Pick-A-Petal quilt. It's the hand sewing quilt that I talked about where I'm practicing the creative avoidance for this applique section here. And I had the block I'm working on now is this, it's actually the border that's going around this edge. And this half circle you see is actually 2 blocks put together. I had a lot of these little wedge pieces cut out, and I showed you how I was doing that last week. I had a lot of those cut out. And what's really fun about that is if your fabrics have fun little things in them, the templates that came with this kit, if you will, lend themselves to fussy cutting. So I didn't have enough, so I finished cutting out all of those wedge pieces, and I actually have started doing the hand stitching. And let me get that out of the way so there you can see it better. But like I did some fussy cutting on some of these. I centered up this flower, or I put the phonograph and the umbrella in it. And some of these are just other all over prints, which are not a big deal. This is what the back looks like with all the tracing for the 1/4 inch seam. And so I do my little hand stitching from point to point. And then I take a piece like this little 1/4 circle, and this right here become the corner of the quilt and the corner of the block and the kind of the center where they meet. So it actually lays together like this. And again, hand stitching, and you get a block that looks like this. And so again, did a little fussy cutting, got a little girl. That's a Tilda fabric there that's really cute. It has a ton of stuff in it that you can pull out and center up, and then a little bird. But there are 64 of these blocks that go around the edge of that quilt, and they fit together. Like we'll pretend this one's sewn together. They fit together like that. Oh, nope, they don't. They fit together like that and kind of make that archy half circle around the border. So that's where we are with all of these projects. I do have, I did get a little packet of fabric to start a new quilt for a friend. I'm not going to share too much about it because it's a surprise, but beautiful fabrics, and I will show those to you probably next week. So that's all from the sewing room right now. We'll update you when we're on our way back from the fair as to how things went. I won't actually have the judges' comments until the weekend because you have to leave your exhibits there until Sunday. So we'll be picking the quilt up on Sunday morning, and I'll have the feedback then. And so we will see you in a little while later this evening on the way back from the fair. Okay, everybody, we're back. We're leaving the fair now, and So we went to the quilt place where the exhibit is, and as soon as I walked in, I knew I didn't win because there was this gigantic paper pieced quilt of a firefighter. The pattern is by a company called Legit Quilts, and they're these giant paper pieced quilt things. It was very cool. But she won reserve champion, and the grand champion was a mini quilt that was like these tiny pieces. But anyway, I didn't even win a ribbon. Wah, wah. But hey, you can't win every single time. So it's all good. But I did see the judge's feedback paper clipped to my quilt, and I wanted to kind of steal it. But I didn't. I'll have to wait till Sunday to see what the judge said. But we did get some good fair food, a good corn dog. I got a loaded chicken bacon ranch bomb baked potato that was the bomb. And so now we're gonna drive home, Handyman and I. Hello. We're gonna drive home, and I'm gonna drown my sorrows in my kettle corn, which is excellent. So we'll see you on Sunday for Show and Tell Sunday. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I think I'm kind of on my way to 100 subscribers, so that's awesome. So keep watching, keep subscribing, keep sharing, and we'll see you on Sunday on Chorus Girl Quilting. Bye-bye.